Welcome back. This is Aquarium Hacks by Marcus. So today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, the things that I have changed up today. Now you see these fish down here? These right here, if you can see them, those are Julius Chromis transcriptus. And you're like, well, I thought you had the Julius Chromis regani and the Leupi and the Pachardi and the Cyprichromis. And I do have those. But what's going on here, and I'm going to explain to you why I have these transcriptus. So the transcriptus is, of course, the Julius Chromis transcriptus is the smallest of the Julies. They get up to around about 3 inches, maybe 2.5 for the male, 3 inches for the female. And they're a great fish, pretty sociable, pretty peaceful to a degree. Of course, all cichlids have some kind of aggression. Somewhat. There is one cichlid that is a Tanganyika cichlid that is related to Cyprichromis. It starts with a P, but I cannot pronounce his name. It's probably one of the most peaceful cichlids actually in the world. But anyway, we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about why I have these Julius transcriptors in this quarantine tank. Well, the reason why I have them in this quarantine tank is because remember here's my new 90-gallon setup. Look at that. I really love the way how I have set this up now. This is really, really, really nice. But remember, I had the Leupi and I had the Julius Chromis regani. Well, that tank, my previous tank of my 90-gallon long, was not something that I really desired to set up. What I really desired to set up was to have some shell dwellers here in the middle, like I got here with these shells. Plants in the background, a rock pile on this side, and a rock pile on this side for the rock dwellers. Now, here is the situation that I ran into on my last fish. The Leupi, which I did so much research on them. And trust me, I know cichlids. I used to keep Mabuna. I used to keep peacocks and all that kind of stuff. South American cichlids. I used to keep some shell dwellers, the brave cichlids years ago. So I know a lot about cichlids. But the Leupi was supposed to not been that aggressive. When I got my Leupis, they were so aggressive toward one another, I almost thought that I was going to have to separate them. And so I knew if I wanted to add the shell dwellers to this tank, they were going to be an extreme problem with my shell dwellers that I was going to add from this 40-gallon breeder, in which they're starting to have fry and babies. They have a lot of fry in here. Again, sorry that I cannot get them on camera. Maybe you can see a few of them. Maybe you can see one over there, but here goes several. I believe you can see those. So you see all these little fry that all these shell dwellers are having here, and I've got 4 pair of shell dwellers in here that are having fry, and they're growing up, and it's starting to eventually is going to crowd out that tank. And so I knew, back to this tank, so I knew that the Leupi was going to be a problem for my shell dwellers. They can get up to 4 to 5 inches, and so I knew that that was not going to work in this tank, not for what I had in mind for this tank to be. And so I've got rid of the Leupi, and I also got rid of the Julius Chromis regani. Now the Julius Chromis regani was aggressive, like typical cichlid aggression, but believe it or not, they were not as aggressive as the Leupi was. Now, don't get me wrong, they were aggressive, but not as aggressive, and especially toward one another. Cichlids are usually aggressive toward the same kind more than they are toward other fish. But the problem with the regani, even though an excellent cichlid, I think, in the right environment, the same with the Leupi, the problem with the regani was that they too also get pretty large. They can get anywhere between 4.5 inches to 6 inches for the female. They can actually get up to 6 inches. Again, which would have potentially been a problem for my small multifasciatus in this tank that I'm going to eventually add. So I got the Leupi removed out, and I got the Julius Chromis regani moved out, and I got those sewed. And so which is good. So now I'm going to add the Julius Chromis transcriptus right down here, which I got to feed these guys, get them going, in this tank. Now I have 8 Juliachromis transcriptus in here, which is fine for a tank this large, as I got here for a 5-foot tank with separate rock piles. So in this tank will be the 8 Juliachromis transcriptus. Eventually I will have multifasciatus here in the middle, and then I will have the Cyprichromis, fewer Cyprichromis, only got 2 of them, and I will have the 4 female Bouchardes, and then of course the Rasbora fish. And then the tank is of course coated, has a lot of snails in it as well. And so that's the way that I want this tank to be set up, and that's what I desired to have. And so yeah, it's gonna take some time for the tank to grow, to really look good, to have all the fish and the fry and everything. It's gonna really look good, I think, later on in the future. But I really believe I've got a better selection with these Juliachromis transcriptus, and I think they'd just be a better fit for what I've got in mind for my setup. So what I'm saying, even though I'm not unfamiliar with African cichlids or cichlids in general, a Lake Tanganyika tank, community tank, was something new to me, and I was not used to that. I did not know everything that I needed to know about that. All I'm saying is, don't always listen to the internet about certain species of fish. Now I'm sure the Leupi, for some people, some breeds of Leupi are probably a little bit more peaceful than mine's, but let me tell you something, the ones I had were pretty aggressive, not only toward one another, but they were kind of aggressive toward the other fish as well. But if you just have to do your tank, do your research on these forums and people who's really had experience with these kind of fish, and they just tell you straight up what's going on and what happened in their aquarium. So this is what the tank looks like now. I can't wait to get my Juliachromis transcriptus in there, and I think it's going to make a really nice tank, and so I'm looking forward to all this tank has to offer. Until then, Aquarium Hacks out, and everyone have a great day.